All right, welcome to round number one. I mistakenly mulliganed my no-lander before turning on the recording, but that hand was not keepable. This hand I did keep, and I scryed a Sulfur Falls to the top. Not that that necessarily matters. Obviously, we don't have to fetch first, but I think we will opt to draw that Sulfur Falls. Third land looks good here. Opponent leading on Bloodstained Mire probably means we're going to get discard spelled, but you never know. No, Flameblade Adept. So our opponent appears to be the Hollow One deck. Our hand is not equipped to kill a Flameblade Adept. And that deck's certainly at its most powerful when Flameblade Adept sits around. I have played around with this deck a little bit. It can be very explosive and do very broken things, but I have not been incredibly impressed with its consistency. Burning Inquiry. Let's just remand this. Opponent might be able to recast it, but let's be as annoying as we can. Try to buy us time to this Electrolyze. Excellent. So they're not going to be recasting it here. So now we have to try to decide, is it more important, what's the most important thing to get into play, considering that we may not have it in our hand next turn? Is it more important for this Flameblade Adept to die, or more important for me to Blood Moon here? I'm honestly not sure. I think it's probably more important for me to kill this Flameblade Adept. My opponent does not actually have that many black spells in their deck. Come to think of it, they have particularly few. So this Blood Moon is really not doing it for me. Don't see any reason to just Electrolyze this beforehand. Might as well wait. Opponent could also cast something that we wanted to remand, obviously. I don't really want to make any assumptions about their hand just because they kept a one-lander. That deck does it quite often. Bomac Courier, that's new. That's a sweet addition to the deck. I think I might go for a Deceiver Exarch block now. I haven't decided, though, what I want to fetch here, though. I think I definitely need to get a red source here and also need to respect my life total. So let's get this. I'm also just like not very interested in this Blood Moon at all for the reasons that we described. Gurmag Angler comes to mind as like the only spell that they're going to try to cast. I guess I'm going to fetch a Steam Vents here. I did say I wanted to respect my life total here, but that's why we fetched Steam Vents, yeah. Let's top both of these. So we'll spend this turn Electrolyzing. I wish we would have scryed this to the top. I guess I need to leave up Remand for Burning Inquiry. I wish we had gotten to scry this to the top. I guess we still would have been at risk for losing it to the Burning Inquiry if it's on top. That doesn't really make any sense. Hoping my opponent does not have another red source still, because I want to keep this Kiki-Jiki, and I have a little bit under a 50% chance to discard it. Same thing with the fifth land. Alright, looks like our opponent does not have another land, otherwise they would have been incentivized to play it and recast the Inquiry. Trigger because of the discarded hand size. Not the most relevant Flameblade Adept trigger I've ever seen, but that does happen. Alright, so we're just going to cast this Kiki-Jiki, and we should be there. Alright. So, as I said, really important to kill their Flame-Blade Adepts. Also, Hollow One and Gurmag Angler are good targets for Roast, so I'll definitely be interested in the Roast and the Harvest Pyre here. Harvest Pyre definitely worse than Roast in this matchup, considering that everything we want to kill dies to Roast. It doesn't really matter that we're doing it at sorcery speed, and the things come out kind of early. So, a little bit of a bummer there. I'm trying to think if there's a lot of incentive for me to have something like Anger. It should just be Angler, Hollow One. I guess there's often Bloodghast, which between Bloodghast and the 1/2 Flame-Blade Adept, I might be interested in Anger here. Also, Bloodghast could potentially have me be interested. Oh, there's Flame Wake Phoenix. I forgot about that as well. So I guess I'm definitely interested in the Anger and the Roast and the Harvest Pyre. I may be interested in the Staticaster, but probably not. Negate's in kind of a weird spot against this deck. I think it's a no. Remand on the draw might not be worth having, but it is pretty good against Angler. Sort of great against Cathartic Reunion. Obviously, it hits Flashback Lootings. So maybe I'm only going to shave on a couple. I definitely want to shave on cantrips against this deck. I just have too many here. The deck is certainly bursting out of the gates. I do obviously want my Graveyard Hate. Explosives, I think, is a no. Electrolyze can go here. It's pretty slow. Don't know if there's much else that I really want. P&K is probably fine, but it doesn't really seem like it's going to make the difference in most games, one way or the other. Maybe it buys me time to actually combo my opponent. I wonder if the combo is actually not great here either. I mean, my opponent has Bolt, Fiery Temper, Lightning Axe in their board, so they do have a reasonable amount of removal. It's probably fine. I think I'm going to stick on the 1 P&K. So we'll go ahead and submit. All right. Our hand is probably a keep here. We have the combo and any piece of interaction. It's very slow on the draw since we have nothing to do on turn 1. And other than that, we basically only have a roast until we can like snap roast. But our turns like 2 through 5 are pretty lined up here, right? We can roast on 2 if we have anything we need to roast. We can Pestermite on 3. We can snap roast on 4. And then obviously we have Kiki on 5. So, I mean, we have stuff to do. It's just a little bit slow against what this deck can offer on the draw. Our opponent is on the Vengevine list. I assumed they were the black-red list. But I guess there was no reason to make that assumption considering they only ever played 1 land, but we did see cards, I guess, that were only in both decks. The Vengevine list, of course, makes my Anger even better than it would have been in the other list. Another Snapcaster here, not very good. We need some additional lands. I just realized I left all my Blood Moons in. I didn't even mention them. I just totally glossed over them. They're still not very good. I should probably not have those in. Even against the Vengevine list, there's not really extra incentive to have those in. They don't really do anything additional just because our opponent has Vengevine. So that's just a mistake here. So opponent has a reasonable draw here. Nothing crazy explosive, but something we are going to have a hard time dealing with. They likely have removal to back it up as well, which is going to be an issue. I really don't want to miss my land drop next turn, so I think I need to Serum Visions this turn and roast. They're going to be attacking for a lot next turn. I guess the best I can do is roast this, but obviously they can get it back. These are going to be attacking for 3, so it's not unreasonable to think that I may want to roast one of the Adepts, assuming my opponent flashes back Faithless Looting. These are each going to be 3 power next turn. Opponent will be attacking for 10. If I roast this, I take 7 compared to roast this and potentially only take 6. Next turn on like Pestermite Bolt. I think I will roast this. Opponent could even have Burning Inquiry, which would cause that to be just as problematic as the Vengevine anyway. And this will actually die, whereas the Vengevine will likely come back at some point. It's not terribly easy for my opponent to trigger Vengevine, but it is possible. Opponent plays land first Molten Rain. Jeez, okay. That was unexpected. So they play land first there. I anticipate that they're just holding up Bolt this whole time. Losing that land is obviously going to be pretty bad for us. I'm going to use my Pestermite to tap their Vengevine this turn. They just have like another Molten Rain here. I don't really know how we're going to win this game. Could also untap a land, Bolt a Flameblade Adept if they like Faithless Looting here. Or I could just Bolt a Flameblade Adept and use a Snapcaster as a chump blocker. And then have Snap Bolt next turn for the Vengevine. It's probably better. Alright. So a Madness card here in Call to the Netherworld. Opponent can return Angler to their hand. Which is going to be an issue for us. So yeah, I think I'm on the Snapcaster and the Bolt plan here. Pestermite I also don't really need, but I guess we do this first. No reason to give my opponent extra information before damage. Yeah, so they're going to bolt my Snap here. So we're going to bolt this, and then we die to another bolt. That's pretty bad sounding. Why don't we go ahead and bolt this? So now we're going to have Snap Bolt available on their turn. It's unfortunate that we're missing a land drop here. One of our opponent's cards is Angler. We don't know the others. Hopefully they don't have any additional creatures, or they're just going to get that Vengevine back. Delete on Street Wraith Cycle. Yeah, okay. So they're going to get their Vengevine back. So we're going to have to block the Vengevine with the Snapcaster. And I don't really see how we're winning from there, considering that we've been missing our land drops. And then our opponent has a million threats. Suppose I could also bolt the Vengevine, take the damage. That doesn't sound great. I guess I'm going to have to bolt it eventually, and I'm going to have to chump block multiple things in the future. If If I bolt this, though, I'm getting that off of the table, which is a, you know, a menace threat, which is just as good, and then I don't take any damage this turn. Then next turn, if I have Pestermite tap bolt, I still have to chump block. It's pretty awful. Yeah, I don't really see us getting out of this, but I guess I'll just take no damage this turn. If opponent has another bolt too, which it appears that they probably do, we're not really. We can't really survive that. We basically already can't beat what our opponents put in play. Anything additional would just be icing on the cake for them. Yeah, that doesn't help. So as is, I have bolts for this. Pestermite can, like, Pestermite untap a land, block. But I'm not winning if I'm not hitting my land drops, right? So it's unfortunate that I'm forced to block with this Pestermite, though. If I had just drawn this land instead of Serum Visions, I guess I could have Pestermite tapped this, bolted this, taken one. If my opponent had bolt, I lose, but that's true anyway. Let's scry these to the bottom, use our Pestermite to untap a land, block this, and we'll bolt this. Two mana, end of turn, cycle hollow one, sure. Okay, cycle Street Wraith. Bolt us. Now we're just dead. Opponent deciding whether they want to fire off their other bolt or... Okay. We'll just concede rather than mill some cards here for them, in case we show them anything they don't know about, although I don't know what we'd be showing them that would surprise them, but... Okay, so on the play, these Remands get slightly better. They're still pretty clunky against my opponent's deck. Like, there's sometimes where they're excellent, and there's sometimes where they're going to do nearly nothing, so I don't know if I want the full 4. I think I might just remain with this configuration, but I could see myself cutting something like the P and K. Again, these Blood Moons, I guess, that I should have never left in the first place should probably get on out of there, which probably makes room for these Remands. I guess Negate may just be worth it against my opponent's deck over the 4th Remand. I guess I have room for both if I wish to not add another cantrip, and I think I just don't want another cantrip in this matchup. They're just going to be too clunky most of the time. Don't really want to Electrolyze, I think. Maybe I should bring in the Staticaster. My opponent might not be on a Bloodghast list, but we can untap Staticaster and kill 1/2s with them. Probably leave it in the board. So I might just try something like this. Pretty sure this explosives is not worth it. I don't think these are worth it, and I don't think the P&K is worth it. And like I said, happy shaving on moons, happy shaving on opts. would like to play first. Double Sulfur Falls hand. The problem is that otherwise this hand is pretty great, especially with the relic. I think I'm going to keep it, but obviously having the double Sulfur Falls hand makes it quite slow. We do only play the 2. Okay. So we lost Snapcaster, Remand, and P&K, but gained an extra land. Some other stuff. Opponent did have the Hollow One turn 1, though, which is going to be a hassle for us. Blue-red deck does not like to see turn 1 4/4s, unfortunately. So we could potentially keep this Anger. I think I'm better off looking for the combo here. The problem is that I don't really have any protection for it, and my opponent could easily just have Lightning Bolt to blow it up. And this Anger is typically good about, typically good against what my opponent's bringing to the table. I think it's going to be a bottom, but it's close on that Anger. Obviously, we could Anger and bolt this. If our opponent puts some other stuff into play, that wouldn't be such a bad play, but I think I'm better off just tapping this for a long time while looking for combo. Or whatever else. If our opponent has Fetchland Angler here, that would be not great for us. Fiery Temper and Call to the Netherworld. Neither of those will get cast here. That's really frustrating. So there's a bug that our opponent is using there. Yeah, that's frustrating. When you don't, for some reason on Magic Online, when you discard Madness cards and don't cast them, it counts them as being discarded twice. So our opponent was able to cast this Hollow One for 0, even though they only discarded 2 cards, which is obviously not how that works, but they did have the mana to cast it anyway. It just means that they were able to cast this Hollow One when they wouldn't have been able otherwise. But it is frustrating to see a bug affecting our game. But perhaps our opponent just did not know about the bug. All right, we're going to tap this Hollow One. I've seen a lot more of these decks popping up recently. Especially the black-red variant. I imagine this is going to get bolted, but that's fine. Especially the black-red variant. And I have wondered a little bit after having played it myself. I've wondered if part of its recent success is because of the bug, but who knows. All right, well, we're in a lot of trouble here. I'm basically in use Cryptic to tap your team territory, but not sure where we're ultimately leading from there. I guess I should probably bounce a Hollow One, excuse me. Likely still need to tap the team. Then I have Bolt, Snap, Bolt for the other hollow one. Unfortunately, they're going to cast this looting here, which is also sort of something I need to deal with. No, they've decided to do it in main phase 2. Yeah, I can't really afford to draw a card here. I think it's more important for me to sort of gain life than draw a card here. With my opponent discarding multiple cards off of this Faithless Looting, though, the chances that this hollow one comes back into play are higher than I'd like. I think I still have to bounce it. Alternatively, this turn, you know what I should have done? No, couldn't really afford to do that either. It would be nice to get rid of their Faithless Looting with this, but maybe I could have like Pestermite, tapped a hollow one, popped this to exile their graveyard. And then Bolt, Snap, Bolt the following turn. And had a double block available even. Oh, I see. They have Angler. Okay. Well, now I'm going to need to Bolt, Snap, Bolt the Angler. Probably take 5. Shocking is basically the same, right? Because if I'm not killing this, then I'm letting them cast this, they're getting 2 extra damage. So I guess we're popping this regardless. And I'm probably gonna have to shock myself, but I'm gonna do it first to see if I get a different land that doesn't require me to shock myself. So we're shocking, killing this Angler. I guess I can try to block first and then Snap Bolt this. That's much better. I mean, that may not work out, but I'm probably just going to die to Bolt, in fact. Are they just going to Fiery Temper? Cycle a hollow one. Okay. So I'm just going to go for the like value, the most value play I can make here. Get rid of the most things, prevent the most damage. What else am I going to do? I mean, I guess I could Bolt this, block this. That would be the life conservative play, but I don't know how I'm winning that game. So if my opponent just doesn't have Bolt here, we have Serum Visions, tap your guy, look for Kiki-Jiki. Burning Inquiry, well. Now I don't have that Pestermite, so I don't have a way to die anymore, or I don't have a way to not die anymore, so that's unfortunate. Just the randomness of Burning Inquiry will get you sometimes. Yep, so we died because we got Burning Inquiry. It's kind of weird to Burning Inquiry in that spot too, since they have really no benefit post Inquiry. I think I usually like to hold it in those spots, but I guess they got to discard a looting, so it works out for them pretty well there, to be fair. Unfortunately, though, we are just dead. Yep, doesn't really matter how I order these, so we'll put them both on top and try to put our best poker face on. Somehow convince our opponent to not attack us. Don't know what it would take for our opponent to not attack us here, but all right. They made the bold play. Alright, so round 1, we have been defeated by some Hollow 1 action, and I will see you in round number 2.